Hey guys, welcome back to season 4 at Two Guys in Hockey Talk and episode 13. How you doing, buddy? How's my co-host?
Oh, I am doing so wonderful, Evan. It is chilly outside, but I am keeping warm with all your warm thoughts, knowing that I know everything about hockey and I continue to bring the substance, the insider knowledge to the show, and you just bring a beautiful smile. So it balances this up. But how are you doing, Evan?
Hey, I'm doing good, but I bet you our friends in Nevada, in California, in the southern part of the U.S., which is one of the faster places that are growing in hockey. I want to talk about that today, but I bet you they're enjoying the warmth. So you guys suck up your weather because we know what it is to be tough on skates and freeze your toes off, or some people freeze their nuts off too.
I really do hope that all the dressing rooms around the NHL, including the one in Arizona, are warmed up pretty nicely so that before you get onto the ice, you're feeling a little bit cozy. Now, we're going to go through a whole slew of topics around the NHL. There's a lot, the good, the bad, the ugly, the rants, and the highlights and the woes, what's happening, maybe a list or two. Maybe Evan's going to share his thoughts on Rev's top 15. You guys know you look forward to it every week. But before we do, grab your beverage. Okay,
let's do it.
I have a tea tonight because that's how I roll. Welcome to all our followers. We appreciate you guys. Cheers.
Woohoo.
Evan.
Hey, Key, how you doing? I'm just saying hi out to Key here. Man, you're hugging all the time. You're not even letting me talk here. Oh, my God. Just because you think I don't talk about hockey, right? You know, I just rant on about other stuff. Hey, Key, I just want to say hi to Key.
I'm accused of being two guys in overtime, and I'm trying to keep it down. So I'm just trying to push through all the material that we need to cover before we get to you, because I know you're going to rant on about something here or this prospect there or something overseas in hockey. But okay, fine. Take it away.
No, I just wanted to engage a couple of our folks that are joining in right now. Hey, guys, thanks for joining in with us right now, coming onto you live. So, hey, every Wednesday, 7 p.m. live, we come here and present to you on all our social media streams on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube at Two Guys, plus also our partners over at the Sports Empire Network. By the way, Key, welcome from over at the Sports Empire Network. Key is the person. She is the key to us getting on this broadcast every night. So give her a big applaud. All right. And Steve has a question. Look at this, man. Steve wants to know, who should he talk to about joining a podcast? Well, Steve, first of all, maybe put in the notes. Do you talk hockey or do you talk to other sports? If you talk hockey, maybe we can talk. But you can talk right here and here. We'll start from there and we'll take it. We're always faithful with our groups that are coming in and connecting with us in different ways. But yeah, guys, definitely make sure that you join in every Wednesday, 7. And then if you want to talk other sports, though, definitely go to the Sports Empire Network. Or if you're catching us there, guys, welcome over to the conversation of hockey. That's all I wanted to say. You can now take us off to a direction wherever you want to go.
Well, I'm just going to do my best Gene Principe. If people know, he's a local broadcaster here for the Edmonton Oilers. But I think, Evan, you're a very Superman coming around for doing these presentations. So applaud to you for always garnering all these wonderful guests. We've had some pretty cool guests over the past season, as well as previous seasons. So make sure you go check out our YouTube page, our Facebook page. Give Evan a follow on Rev and Ev. You can argue with him and tell him he knows nothing about hockey and how stats sometimes are against him, just like the facts. But let's start with the highlights. The Boston Bruins. I know Mike Smith is a big fan. I know we have some other people on the show that have been on here. 13 wins at home. Evan, your thoughts on the team, and given what their age was and where we predicted them to be, what are your thoughts on them?
Hey, you know what? You got to give a big applaud to the Boston Bruins, man. They found ways to make this work. I think a lot of people thought when Cassidy was out that there was no way to rebuild. And I recall a lot of people talking how Boston was not going to even make the playoffs this year. And they definitely have turned it around. One thing I will say is never count out Boston, man. They find ways to revitalize. But I like to go on record and brag that I said early on in the season, Boston will be right in there because they're bringing the boys back. They're going to bring the boys back. Now, they are in a very veteran team still. they're going to have to find some ways to rebuild on the fly. So I don't know about you guys out there that if you're a fan, hey, question is, okay, Steve, you're joining us right now. What's your thoughts right now, maybe, when it comes to the Boston Bruins? Do you have any thoughts on the Bruins? If you do, let us know, guys. Get your thoughts on it. But I will say, Mr. What do you call him? Brad the Lick? Is that what you call him? Brad the Lick Marchand?
Yes, that's exactly what I've called him. I've never called him in my life that, but sure.
No, I just made it up.
More lickety split than anything else.
He'll get a goal lickety split. There you go, buddy. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, he's a constant. Bergeron is like constantly, like every player they have buying into a system, and it takes me back to when we talked even just a few weeks back. We were talking with Coach, and we were talking about the systems play, right? You know, and everybody understands the different systems play. But what is it that Boston gets their guys to buy in to? They've got Taylor Hall buying into the system.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
They've really bought in. I agree. It's also impressive that they were missing Marchand for a bit. Brad, the lickety-split Marchand, as well as Charlie McAvoy, and coming back, both scoring on their first games back. Pretty impressive. You know, the whole issue with Jake DeBrusk and what was going on with him and Bruce Cassidy, and tension there with, David Pastrnak having an unreal season. And, of course, it's coming up soon. He's starting to talk contract with the team because, of course, you know, it's coming up and he wants to stay in Boston. And there's been discussions of whether he will, he won't. It's hard to say. Their goaltending has been phenomenal, right? So Linus Ullmark has had really solid numbers given in an NHL right now where goaltending hasn't been exceptional. We're looking at you, Igor Shesterkin, out in New York, but we'll talk about that later. You know, and really their defense has been really depth. And the one thing that was surprising to me is David Krejci, who came back from the Czech, playing there because he had gone over, if you guys don't know, to get his kids to learn how to speak the language because his parents didn't speak a lot of English and his kids only spoke English. So he wanted them to understand his culture. Very important. Family life, family matters to him. He did not lose a step at his age, being almost their second line center. Now, sometimes he'll drop down and be third line center, but behind Bergeron, who clearly also has defined time, this team is on a roll. And I was wrong initially. Now, will this end? I mean, it could, or they could keep going. Could they be an early favorites for the President's Trophy? Very possible. But
so
Boston,
I think it waits. One of our colleagues here on the show, which we're definitely going to have on in the new year, Mike. We're going to have to get Mike Smith back on here so we can talk a little bit on draft as well as talk about the Boston Bruins. But I think Mike, myself, and there might have been a handful of you guys that were even thinking that Boston could be as good as they even are right now. And but you know what? It was only because of history that we kind of even took that from. Because if you did look at what was on the ice, if you look at the numbers, the aging of the, of all the players, yeah, I mean, it did not look like it was actually going anywhere at that point, right? So anyway, you know what? It's all right. It is what it is.
We got this. So Boston, okay, congratulations, fans. You should be happy. Things are going well. Even with the Miller situation, you were able to pass that.
Okay,
your quick thoughts before we jump to your thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm controlling this tonight, like left, right, and center. I've got a joystick in front of me, and I'm controlling the A's and the B's. All right. Before we get it, because I did address it, and I know Jim usually joins us on the show. Jim, where are you? We miss you. What are your thoughts on Igor Shesterkin and the Rangers' very up and down season? Quick 2 thoughts. And trading Ryan Reeves.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
I thought you asked somebody else, and I'm like, who else is on this podcast?
We want Jim to come on to potentially chat Rangers.
Oh,
I'm asking you.
I'm waiting for Jim to answer. I'm waiting for Jim to answer. Where the heck is Jim when you need him to answer?
I know now. This is definitive proof, everyone. If you're watching, comment. Evan knows nothing about hockey. After I asked him about the New York Rangers, he looked like I just whiffed up and created a whole illusionary team out of nowhere, but okay.
It was crazy because behind me, I want to talk a little bit about Vancouver in a while, but actually I almost put up the Rangers jersey behind me because I was thinking we need to talk about this team. what has happened to this team. And I can't even tell you why. I have no idea why. I feel like both the two teams that have totally shocked me, that have not come out like they should, have been the Edmonton Oilers and the New York Rangers. I mean, these guys are loaded to bear. Yeah, they got faults, but they can make up for those faults. But Shesterkin, I'm not calling him Sherstinkin tonight. I'm calling him Shesterkin, even though he sure is stinking. And Jim would want to defend him. But, this just goes to show people when it comes to goaltending, you cannot expect these goaltenders to ride like 925, 930 save percentages. I mean, we said this, what it was, I think 2-3 weeks ago about Marc-Andre Fleury. You guys realize he's been like a 910 to 915, 917 max career goalie. He's just been a clutch. Shesterkin was not just a clutch, but he was also, and right now it's like something. You know what it feels like, Pawel? It feels like, and we've done this. If you've played in rec leagues, anyone here, and you guys can kind of, tell us what your thoughts are. But if you played rec league, or if you played even back, think about playing street hockey, or when you get in the zone, just like Michael Jordan back in the 1990s, when you get in the zone, it's like you just play so well. And that's what it's like for goaltending. And that's what I think it's like for some teams. And right now, it's like the Rangers are not in that zone. They're struggling through it. And I actually have no answer for this other than their captain has to pull them out of this. And by the way, Chris Kreider is not scoring like he did last year either.
Well, a lot of those goals last year were on the power play. So their power play was lethal last year. So that is one thing. I think last year, like Edmonton, Rangers struggled on 5-on-5 goals. They weren't exactly in the top 10, let alone the 15. So you guys can correct me and tell me specifically where. But they really, really had an issue. Now, their defense should be better. They should have taken step forwards like Edmonton. But really, Shesterkin, like, he played godlike last year, and he covered up a lot of their defensive mistakes. Now, Panarin's having a quietly good season, but he's not being the superstar that he needs to be for the price tag that he is at 11+ million. So Panarin needs to step up and play a little bit better. Kreider as well. Jacob Trouba, he had that awkward hit where he went in for a hit.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting the player and missed, and then ended up kind of crashing himself into the boards.
That guy.
No worse for wear. He was good. Sorry?
That guy hit him.
Yeah, that guy hit him.
Exactly. That guy, whoever that guy was. Yeah, you guys.
No, who knows?
Just so you know, here at Two Guys in Hockey Talk, we always just refer to everybody as that guy.
Yeah, that's the Canadian way.
It's not gender specific.
Hey, buddy. Hey, dude. So the Rangers really need to turn it around. Gerard Gallant can get them going. Now let's talk about something that you've addressed, and I will have to concede to some extent.
Is this the Rangers?
Is not this
okay,
Rangers.
Yeah.
Capo Caco. Lafreniere is having a good season, and he's becoming a solid guy.
Is he?
He's having good numbers. He's not elite. He's like the you could say like a younger Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Like he's doing okay.
This is going to be random here. Let's come back to Capo Caco. Let's talk about Lafreniere. I know you're giving him credit. I want to go back. I put myself out there that he was a this was a franchise player, number 1 overall. And I understand maybe the draft wasn't, there are some good players that came out of there. But Lafreniere, come on, man. He is scoring. I've had some Twitter wars with people on this. Lafreniere is right now at the Nail Yakupov percentage.
I would say that's Capo Caco, not
no. Go and check it out. As of 5 games ago, his career status right now. If you go in there, someone go and look in elite prospects right now. You'll find all the information you need. Lafreniere is not scoring at that elite numbers. He is at the Yakupov numbers, except he plays a 2-way game. He can play, but here's the thing. You drafted this guy number 1 overall. Is this a fault of development, or is this a player that has just gone sideways and is not able to adjust his game? Frankly, I'm going to say when COVID hit, he stayed out, didn't play in the juniors. The Rangers didn't want him, and they let him sit. He sat for so long, and then I felt that it affected his start. And so Lafreniere, frankly, I think part of the reason is when you draft that high, number 1 overall. What a waste. Okay, now I know a bunch of you are going to jump all over me, but remember, I said he'd be number 1. And I actually said he would be the best of that class. I now am going to change that and say Stützle will be the best of that class. But let's just change that around.
He's been doing good, but he hasn't really done as good as he projected to be. He put on some pounds this offseason. He really got tough, when he got some really good veterans to play with, whether it was going to be DeBrincat or Claude Giroux, who can play on his wing,
Absolutely.
That should be some good veteran presence that could really shelter him. And I'm looking at Seattle with Bernier and what's happening with Burakovsky or Jared McCann playing like a veteran player or winger that has that experience, whether longevity in the NHL or Stanley Cup pedigree, and then they come in and help that young guy, right? So definitely some thoughts.
So, by the way, everybody, you'll see we're jumping all over tonight, man. This is truly an original tonight. 2 Guys in Hockey Talk. We've dropped all the weight of the guests coming on our show, taking up our minutes, and we are going to argue back and forth. We do not always see things the same. In fact, it kind of gets boring when we see things the same. But, okay, let's go back to Kakko. I got you onto the Stützle thing.
Go ahead.
Final
thoughts around Kakko, and then we'll move on to the next
okay,
one,
what was he? What was he, 3 overall they got him at? I'm trying to remember back. So if you think about this, the Rangers, without their number 1 overall and their number 3, which, by the way, were both lottery wins because they shouldn't have been in those slots, they have won on both of them, and neither one of these guys is actually producing at any superstar level. They're basically a lot of players you could pick up that are producing what they're producing.
Number 2 pick in the 2019 draft.
Number 2, that's right. Okay, so let's look at this. I actually think you're looking at a trade. Something's going to give here. They need something else, but what are you going to trade? Because if you're going to trade a high draft, are you going to trade him for someone else? I will say this right now. Now, both Edmonton and the Rangers have the same issue with 2 players. One is Puljujarvi, one is Kakko. Now, the difference is Puljujarvi is making a little bit more because of the draft year, right, with him getting his money. I would rather have Puljujarvi right now, but I almost wonder, would that be a right fit next year if they can make something happen to sign in the trade so Edmonton can kind of get out of their cap and maybe pick up a Kakko, but give up maybe a 2nd-round draft pick to go with Puljujarvi? I think a lot of people think Kakko's worth more. Guys, he's going to be worth nothing if he doesn't start producing. So this is what I want to say. The Rangers are phenomenal that their drafting in their first round is not panning out like a lot of other teams, and yet they're still been a competitive. So maybe this is the issue. You can't keep riding all these other guys all the time without these young guys stepping up, and they're not stepping up.
Well, and the other person that you got to think about is Vitaly Kravtsov, who was drafted, and there's been issues with him, especially given that he was drafted number 9 in front of some of the other players that they could have gone. Now, here's who they could have picked instead of Vitaly Kravtsov: Evan Bouchard, Oliver Wahlstrom, Noah Dobson, right? Ty Smith, right? Keandre Miller, who they did,
in Jersey,
Rasmus Sandin in Toronto. So anyway, you gave up on all those, and he has not done well. So when people talk about other teams not drafting very well, well, New York, it's not always successful, right? Like, you got to be mindful that you know what you're doing, that you give guys time. And, the Shane Wright situation is a perfect example of what's been going on with drafting. But anyways, so the Rangers, I think they can get out of the rut. I don't know if they're going to be the top in the Metro. I really think I thought that they would come out swinging, given the firepower they have. And, of course, Shesterkin essentially dethroning Vasilevsky, who also hasn't really had the best numbers. He's been solid. Goaltending has been very chaotic, and you can chat about it a little bit later. But really, the Rangers might be fighting for a wild card spot in that division, right? So
why don't we do this? And we know, so one of our former guests who is no longer allowed to come on to our show because the general manager of the New York Rangers will not allow their farm team, the Hartford Wolfpack AHL play-by-play, Alex Thomas, man. He checks our show out sometimes, not all the time. But Alex, if you're listening, I'm going to be sending you out a personal note. Can you hook us up with someone to talk Rangers hockey who's got some insight? I will be sending that out to you. Either you're going to get it unknown or you're hearing it now and you'll be able to find out. We need someone to be able to give us a little more insight to maybe what they think is going on. Besides Jim, who doesn't come back on the show after he abandons us. Well, by the way, Jim,
that promotion and he's gone. That's why. I think maybe
he's with the Carolina Hurricanes roller rink.
So clearly, maybe Rob Brindamore or Don Waddell are telling him, "Don't come on this podcast." We told you guys, people get promoted.
So hey, yeah, I was going to tell Jim Davison from last week. By the way, if you didn't catch last week's show, we talked all around what kind of went wrong with the Calgary Arena deal, what's coming back with the guy who spearheaded chair is Jeff Davidson, Ward 6. So make sure you guys go back, check out our old podcasts. Where I apologize, but I'm still working on the website. There's a lot of behind the scenes work. We want to take all our former guests and link you guys into all of those folk, whether they write, whether they are on Twitter, any of their feeds. But I was thinking about telling Jeff, you should run for mayor again after this. You know, we might be your lucky horseshoe that is going to help you win and get over the top. Okay. So, hey, before we go to the next thing, I'm just looking in our comment section and so I'm going to appreciate. So Steve Roth here, he's come on. He says he talks hockey, man. And so now he's been posting. And by the way, Steve, we are really good at adjusting on the fly because we love hockey so much. I don't think we're prepared unless there was something that Pawel prepared for. So I'm just going to pull up here. You said you want to know about the Flyers, what needs to change for the Flyers. Hang on, but you didn't give up. You kept going. And you asked some more questions. You said, is there a new coach working for them? Does the Flyers need to fire the general manager? Something needs to change to have the Flyers a winning season. And then you also put in here, do you see this? Man, Steve is assertive, man. He says, for now, can the Flyers keep on winning? All right. So, Steve, because you wanted to talk about it, we will take a moment and touch it on the subject. And so Pawel the cat, my partner here, he loves to talk hockey. Let's see what he's got to say about this here.
Yes. No. Okay. Yes. I apologize. So, Steve, first off, there's a few things. The first thing, if you're looking for a lot of good quality Flyers content, go follow Jamie Baskow. He's a friend of the show. Yeah. He's been on the podcast a couple times. He's a beat writer there. He knows the room. He knows the team. He knows the prospects coming in and out. Now, the first thing that's wrong with the Flyers is injuries. They have been plagued by injuries. And it has been a very, very difficult to get out of that. Any team, like one of the worst teams hit by the injury bug, right? It's tough to get out of it. Second thing, Carter Hart has had an unreal season, and he has, again, covered up a lot of mistakes on the back end. Tony DeLangelo has been good. John Tortorella is doing the best he can and getting the most out of that team that he can. I do think Chuck Fletcher needs to go, personally. That's my choice. I don't think he's made good choices for that franchise. I think trading away some of the players that he has, signing some players that he has. I mean, Kevin Hayes is great, but signing him to that contract, very questionable. But okay, it's worth it now. But he hasn't produced at that level that he's expected to, right? Sean Couturier out. That's been a big loss for them. How do you go out with that? One of their best players. Trading Claude Giroux, that was the heart and soul and beat of your team. I know he wanted out and a chance to win a cup because of what he did. But playing 1,000 games for that franchise and doing what he did for that organization, he bled orange and black. So good for him there.
Six players are injured. Six. I just went and looked.
Exactly. And that doesn't include, I believe it's Ryan Ellis, who they traded for, and he's never been or not Ellis. What's his name on the back end that he's out for an extended period of time that they traded for him.
Just pulling it in right now.
Now they have some good young guys. Like Zach McEwen is a great hard-nosed kind of player. He can really get into the corners, but you need more from your depth guys. Travis Konechny, I think he just signed a big contract. So I don't know what the Flyers are doing, and I worry that if they do end up with one of the top 10 picks that Evan talks about, they should keep him. But if Chuck Fletcher thinks that they're just above the playoff line and they can make it, and he trades that pick away, that's going to be a big, big loss. So at the end of the day, I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but they will be competitive. They are hard to play against. And if the injury bug didn't hit them, I think they could compete for a wild card spot, given how wild the Metro has been. Like Carolina hasn't been that elite. We just talked about the Rangers. The Islanders have really stepped it up, and they can make the playoffs again. So last year seems like an anomaly, even after the Barry Trotz change. And I really think that the Flyers, they're good, but they're not going to be good for a while until they clean house. And I think, like Vancouver, they think they're further along than they actually are. They have some good pieces, but they need more. So that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts, Evan?
Yeah. So just coming back there, Steve, where we posted it there at Jamie Baskow. That's on Twitter, so you can follow Jamie at Flyers Nitty Gritty. Him, Sam, I think it's Wisner. So Sam, I know you follow too. They have incredible coverage. They supply as much content. They are in the dressing room. They're at the rinks. But they also follow the Phantoms. So if you are interested around the Philadelphia, and let me tell you the kind of guy Jamie Baskow is. So when Chris Letang, which we could come to in just a moment here, was ruled out because of having a stroke, which is, our hearts go out to him and the family here.
And that's the second too.
Yeah.
That's the second one.
Oh, I don't recall it.
Oh, yeah, they're reporting it. This was his second one, even though it was minor. Anyway, that's a separate.
But this is the sportsman. So, for example, between, let's just say, when you got Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, the war is like Edmonton and Calgary when it comes in the NHL. I mean, this is past NHL. It's other sports too, between those two rivals. But one of the things that people really like when Vander King, his wrist, there was things that were just mean. We're talking from Calgary fans to Edmonton fans about Evander. And even some writers sometimes get like that. But one thing I can tell you about Jamie, I just looked on one of his tweets. This is an hour ago. He says, prayers for Chris and his family, hoping for a fast and speedy recovery. Just kind of tagging in on Sportsnet's post. This is the kind of guy Jamie is. But he also, he shoots it straight. He'll give you his honest opinions and stuff like that. So as well as he'll give you all the insights. Like right now, he talks about how Samuel Morin 6 minutes ago, he's sitting in the press box with Daniel Briere at the Phantoms game tonight. So he'll let you know when things are going on if that's really what you're looking for. Is your wife talking to you in the background? Hey, babe, how you doing?
It's my little guy. Can I
bring him on. Bring him on.
Bring him on.
Hey, we got no guests to have to entertain here. All right. Hey, hey, buddy.
Hello,
look at this.
This is my little guy.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, how you doing, Mr. Hockey Talk?
Oh, he's very good. He's very good.
Hey, Rowan, man, his eyes.
He starts crying when Dad says that, starts talking anything hockey based. Yeah, he doesn't like the beard. Do you see? He's like, no, you got to get rid of it. So, what do you think of the Philadelphia Flyers?
Okay, hey, let's bring up. Steve just brought this up. Hey, Rowan, what do you think here? So, Steve, you brought up injuries can't be the excuse, and you are right.
Agreed.
So, actually, so if you go back to our, so Leah Hextall was on episode 2. So Jamie was on episode 3. So if you go back on episode 3, you will see there is a discussion. This is on Cliff Fletcher. It's on Cliff. Chuck Fletcher. Chuck, yeah, Cliff. That's a throwback, man.
Sleep deprived with the baby, okay? Chuck Fletcher.
Chuck.
Now you guys know who the real Philly fan is, and it was Ellis. But anyways, okay, go ahead. Injuries isn't an excuse.
So you're saying they're not an excuse, and you're right. But we believe, this is just from our perspective, we believe Chuck is planning to not win, but to look like they're trying to win. Tortorella coming in to change the culture of the team because it was needed, but there's no way they're going to have an ability to win. The few games that they won, Carter's standing on his head. They're getting outshot. Their defense is not structured enough. They have a lot of heart, not just Carter heart, but a lot of heart and soul, and they're fighting hard. So, unfortunately, when you're out, Sean Couturier, Kevin Hayes isn't playing part of it. Your defenseman Ellis, who's the puck mover to get it out of that zone, is gone. We talked about why didn't they pick up Dylan Strome if they already had an idea that Couturier wasn't going to be ready. I mean, he's probably the next best thing to Patrice Bergeron as a player in the NHL. He's the guy then the playoff series against the Penguins who actually held them at bay, right?
Also, when you have numbers like this, 13.9%, the worst power play in the NHL. You got to be able to score. Yeah. You have Tony DeAngelo as your quarterback. How can you not score on the back end? Penalty kill percentage. Let's look at that. Yeah. Where are they? They are 24th. You have to be in the top 15 at least. Jordan says Flyers suck. I agree. They have struggled this season, even though they came out at the beginning of the season blazing and really they were at top of the standings.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Would you not say we know what they suck, Jordan? We know they suck wind because that's all Tortorella is doing is bag skating those babies.
Well, I did enjoy his comment recently after one of the games where, I forget who it was on ESPN or TNT. And, how would you assess, thanks, Hans. How would you assess the players and the game? And he just said, we suck. I love Tort to the point. He doesn't mince words. So let's talk quickly about the Toronto Maple Leafs because Hans is on. He's a big fan. I know Desmond is a big fan.
So, I just want to say to all you guys, just a quick reminder again, every Wednesday night, man, thanks for you that are on right now live. I'll tell you what, we made a decision this year. I got tons of material, and I haven't covered 90% of it yet. And I was like, will we have enough content for tonight's show? Because we were prepared to have a guest on. I haven't mentioned who that guest is, but we want to show you, if you're watching the show post, we do adjust and we like to move around because this is hockey talk and it's just not me and Pawel talking back and forth. We want to talk with you guys. So if you got some good stuff, all we ask is be sportsmen. That's all we ask, right?
Don't be be respectful to one another. You can agree to
what's
disagree,
that?
Like I do with Evan. I can
what's
tell
the difference?
That he's wrong and he doesn't know Cliff Fletcher at all.
Hey, I actually shook hands with Cliff Fletcher. Thank you very much.
Oh, good. So,
not
Toronto
Chuck.
Maple Leafs.
Okay, let's go, man.
One good thing about Toronto Maple Leafs is their gamble thus far, 20-plus games in. They're playing tonight against the Toronto, they're playing against themselves. They always are, really, in their heads. But they're playing against the San Jose Sharks. Their bet against Matt Murray to come back and have a bounce-back season and Ilya Samsonov has paid off. Now, there has been injuries, and their defense has taken a beating, with Morgan Riley, with their top defenseman pairing being out. It's been a big hit. They've had Timothy Liljegren come back. But the one thing I want to talk about, and I know it's getting a lot of buzz and discussion, and it happened in Edmonton as well, is, Evan, I need to know your thoughts, and this is a bit of a rant on my end.
Okay.
What are your thoughts of goalies playing as a goalie, and Aaron can chime in as well, kicking the post off to kill the play dead? You've seen it happen. Matt Murray has done it a few times. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Vasilevsky does this too. It's very common. So but
did it? Spencer Knight against the Edmonton
Spencer
Oilers.
Knight. Yeah. So this is two sides to this story. So if you played goal, anyone that's following us right now, feel free to comment in the sections. Give us your take. So here's the thing with goal. And these posts right now, they've been trying to make it so that they come off easier so the players are not getting injured. There is tests this year. What we have been told that there is the changing on those posts, but there is so much give, it's coming off too easy, which is not fair to the goalies who have been doing this regular. And that's why you're not just seeing one goalie or two. There's actually about 4 or 5 that this has started to be talked about. And in fact, one of the things that you'll notice is, so when a goalie does that slide, he needs to have the toe of his skate on the inside of the post. But by doing it, the post should have give like 3 to 4 inches to go up. Because if you don't have the lateral push to come back out again. So if you keep your toe on the outside, you won't have the push to come over if you have to track back over to the right with the puck. So that's why they go on the inside. However, what has seemed to happen on some cases is that it's almost like the skate is going right in or halfway down the pad. They are leaning into it. Here's my take. I think there's been too many goals scored on the outside, in the upper corner, on the inside of those goalies, and not by the head. So they are coming close to the nets and rubbing them harder on purpose. And now what's happening by doing that, less goals are going in, but the nets are coming off with that little bit of give. So that's my take. I do not think that this is actually goalies trying to get away with stuff. Now, can we talk about goalies getting away with stuff?
Sure.
Let's talk about taking our helmet and ripping it off in the middle of a play.
Yes. Igor Shesterkin.
Come on, baby. Back to the Rangers, eh? So I have this guy calling me an idiot on Twitter, and I don't know what I'm talking about. And
finally, somebody can you reach out to me? We can agree about something.
and I was just like, are you serious? What are you, an 18-year-old kid in your mama's basement? Just thinking that because you play, EA Sports, NHL, that you know what you're talking about. So the people are saying the strap, and that people like Mike Smith did this a lot. Dwayne Rollison did it way back in the day too. They shake their head and the helmet starts leaning forward, right? But no goalie grabs the back and rips it forward and doesn't get a penalty. The strap loose, they're trying to say, a lot of people, I really wonder if they play goal. I'd like to hear from a goalie that says, when my strap's loose, it's on safe. Because I'm sorry, but if you throw that off in the middle of a play, your face is open. Having a loose strap may hurt my eyesight with the cage slightly moving. That's a bunch of crap. And that's my rant for today. I'm like, don't argue with me on this. You're wrong.
I think the one that Spencer Knight did against Edmonton was a bit egregious. I know Matt Murray, I think one of them was a little chaotic. I know it came at the expense of the New Jersey Devils, where they were very upset given that their streak ended and they were trying to beat a new streak. But at the end of the day, they're going to start cracking down on it. And I didn't think that this was going to be it. Now, players are going to do whatever they can to make a play dead, especially if you're in the defensive zone and you're trying to not get scored on, right?
Yeah.
The goalie just goes, oh, okay, I'm out of position, right? So I got to say the calls have been very curious, because I love every year I learn about a new technique or a new rule in the NHL. Now, Steve's saying, come on, if they play EA Sports NHL, do they even know what they're talking about? I play the game and watch hockey, so I know what I'm talking about. Well, he knows what he's talking about. We need you on the show, Steve, so you can share all your thoughts, right?
Okay. Hey, Steve, so what's your take on Shesterkin ripping the helmet off from behind? Is it unsafe to keep your strap loose, so you should rip it off in the middle of play? Let's hear what Steve has to say on that take.
We will. So now we're jumping over, because we had your rant. We're talking about, because I kind of, this is connected. The New Jersey Devils, Evan, are they for real? Because Luke Gazdic on Monday Night Hockey with David Amber and a few of the panel members,
I never saw it,
that they are not, this is a mirage, and they will not make the playoffs. Yeah. No, sorry, not Gazdic. Keith Yandel. I apologize. I mixed them two up. Two beautiful bearded men.
So it's funny you said that, because I like Luke Gazdic. It's funny because
he does Edmonton Regional, Western Regional.
Okay, but
Keith Yandel.
So when you asked me that, first thing I was going to say, well, let's look up how much hockey Luke really knows about compared. But then when you say Keith Yandel, it's kind of hard to argue with Keith. I am shocked, actually. So that's what Keith said, eh? He thinks it's a mirage.
He said they won't make the playoffs.
They won't make the playoffs?
That's what he said, yeah.
For them to, oh my goodness. Okay. First of all, this is really new to me. I haven't actually heard this yet. So that's actually very interesting. So I'm just going in right now. I'm pulling up our statistics. So when we look in the lead statistics right now.
First article.
Okay. So let's watch this. How many points to get in the playoffs? I'm going to show everyone kind of how I process a possible playoff. Do you think they could play worse than 500 hockey?
No.
Okay.
No, unless their goaltending completely falls off, no way.
But even then, if you look at past years, that would be really hard with their team. So right now, 23 games they played. So that leaves them with 59 games? 56, 70. Yeah. Okay, 59 games. Now, I want you to add these points together. 59 and 36.
All right. I'm terrible.
It's 95. 95. That's 95 points. You don't think if they play 500 hockey for the rest of the year, 95 points is not going to get them in the playoffs? I know last year there was a lot of 100-point teams, but I already look at what's happening this year at the Rangers. It ain't happening again. So I'm telling you.
Last year was an anomaly, and you have teams like Washington and Pittsburgh struggling right now. Columbus has really fallen off the map. Islanders are back. The thing is you also have to look at teams that they're going to replace. So the Jersey Devils are now in a playoff spot. if they are going to fall out for whatever reason, who is going to take that place, right? Or will it be Boston?
Yeah.
Will it be the Maple Leafs? Florida's struggling right now. And Joe, who's a fan of the show from Florida, she's chatted with me about it. And she has some questions about whether Radko Gudas will be traded from that team. But anyways, I think the New Jersey Devils will make the playoffs. How they'll do in the playoffs will be interesting. But that team is firing on full cylinders. And I'm going to say they have one of the most underrated backends there. And I think that trade for Ty Smith for John Marino is amazing. And let's not forget, guys, that Keith Gretzky in Edmonton found him, but Marino did not want to play here in Edmonton, which is why they traded him to Pittsburgh. But he has been solid not only for Pittsburgh, but now even better. Also, Dougie Hamilton is finally playing up to that contract this year. Last year, he was started good, and then he got injured, and he was out sidelined for a bit, as well as Nico Hischier. So when we talk about the Flyers and injuries, the New Jersey Devils have a lot of injuries normally. Right now, they don't. And the cool thing is people probably have seen this where the fans after 2 games were shouting, "Fire Lindy," and then they go over to saying, "Sorry, Lindy."
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Here's my rant of the day. Do not throw garbage at the players on the ice. It is disgusting. Right? It is not becoming of U.S. fans, and it is pathetic. And you can fight me to the bone on this because I think it's gross to throw garbage anywhere, let alone on the ice. Because now you got people having to clean it up. You're throwing it at other players.
It is sick. It is sick.
Why? And beer. Sure, you spend $20 on a beer American. Why are you wasting it?
I think a lot of people have been so busy stuck in their homes during COVID around the world that they come out and they're just acting stupid at games. Yeah. Like the fights, like the fist fights happening between men. And like, I just saw on my Twitter
recently. The Winnipeg Jets game versus Colorado where a fan got knocked and there was blood everywhere. It was 2 drunken Colorado fans at the Canada Life Center where I was just there in November, and they knocked the fan out and there was blood everywhere against the boards because they were unhappy with the way that they were being chirped at.
Oh,
where was security?
Yeah. First of all, what is security at these games, right? I mean, it's okay, guys. I want to jump over to my Revs Top 15. We're going to get out of the NHL. I wanted to do a couple things outside of the NHL because we are 2 guys in hockey talk. We want to talk to you about other places. And so definitely in the junior section, I like to have my little bit of time, not to rant, but to rave. So my Revs Top 15, if you've never followed before, understand everybody. So Craig Button says the first 5 years. Bob McKenzie says this is what the highest percentage of scouts. Some people do mock drafts. Mine is what I think will have the best career. The top 15 from a year, best career, and that's what this starts with. So today we're moving down to number 6. So Dalibor Dvorsky. So some people haven't even heard of this guy, but it's a really important thing to note that this guy is 6'1". Now he's up for the draft this year. He's registering around 195 pounds. He is incredible. Like, this guy is a center. He plays right, which is a big deal now, playing center. And he knows how to use his body to gain his positioning against defenders. And he has been shielding the puck incredibly well this year. Now, he is playing over in Sweden. So he's with the basically, it's like the league that's right in between, kind of like what we would call the AHL, kind of the SHL group. But he is doing very well. He's still performing. Remember, over in Europe, they do not get a lot of games. They get very little ice time when they're younger, but they like to be able to get them in because definitely it's not for them. They got to win. So it's not about development for the NHL, right? Now, one of the things is no matter what level this guy has played on, he is a compete. He has crazy, complete playmaking skills. Very confident when he's playing with that, and he doesn't lose that puck very often. And so, in fact, right now he's kind of sitting between 6 and 11. A lot of different ranking systems. Some people thought he could be in the top 5. I don't think he doesn't have the scoring ability. But hey, at this rate, he might actually do better than Lafreniere. Having said that, but this is a guy you got to keep your eyes on, because I could see someone like a Steve Yzerman or like that kind of personality, if they're drafting, they could jump in and pick him up a little bit earlier on if they actually get a chance. By the way, I know every week we don't really talk about Connor Bedard as much as you're like, oh, we hear about him all the time. But you know what? Right now, he has 1.78 points per game in the Canadian Hockey League. Connor McDavid had 1.72. And he has almost as many goals in 60 less games. Almost as many goals. This guy is a goal scorer. So when you're kind of thinking, I don't know, is he kind of the same player? No, he's a totally different player. And I don't even know a player. I know he likes Patrick Kane a lot, but I've not seen a player play this style, just like when McDavid came in. I've not seen a player play like that.
I know he's not a center, but would Mitch Marner be a comparison in terms?
He is a center. He is a center, actually. So years ago he was playing wing, and they've been he's playing center now.
Who, Marner?
Oh, no. Connor Bedard.
No, I know. What I'm saying is I'm comparing him. Would he be comparable to Mitch Marner in terms of his size, but his playmaking ability and hockey IQ?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. His hockey IQ is through the charts. He's McDavid IQ. His vision and IQ on the ice.
Just saying,
but
Marner for his size and what he brings to the game.
I think Marner. One thing with Marner plays a really fast game, and sometimes I feel like he needs to learn how to slow the game down. That was something that McDavid had to do in his second season, learn how to slow down a bit to also protect himself more. Bedard is really good at that quick acceleration. And so it's like he can come in slow it. He'll get that puck right over that blue line, and it's like instant. He doesn't actually even slow. It's almost like he does a snowplow. You don't even know he's slowing down, which fools the defender, and he backs off like 5 to 7 feet. So it's crazy. If you guys haven't got a chance to watch him with the Regina Pats, you guys got to watch him. This guy is just fun to watch. This is a franchise player.
Well, I'm going to add one more thing. So I know people love watching the show on the ice, what players like this of this caliber and what they're potentially going to be able to do in the future in the NHL. But what they're also doing, or what Bedard is doing for the Regina St. Pats, is he's driving business and revenue, which is what a lot of these franchises are looking for. So if you're in Arizona and you want to get butts in the seats, you want Connor Bedard there, right? If you're Philly and you're struggling and getting, people buying into your vision, and you get Connor Bedard, that's a big deal. And you're going to get butts in seats, and that means more revenue for your franchise, which is what it is. I mean, one of the reasons why people go to watch Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel is because of the talent and what they do on the ice. People want to see those numbers and those players perform, right? To do the magic that they do. So if you think about it, it's not just the prospect side and him being able to be as gifted as he is. It's the business side. And he has increased ticket sales for the Regina St. Pats, or if that team is going through your team in that Western Hockey League. So, whether it's, in Calgary.
I know I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of these players actually at the World Juniors this year, including Bedard, because another guy that's on that list sitting at number 3, Fantilli, which right now, because Mishka, and that's a whole other thing. I want to bring Patrick Conway on and talk about that, because when we had from hockey editor for Hockey News Sweden, Carl Manson, he was saying how it's almost like they're not playing Mishkov right now over in Russia. They kept him out of the KHL now. They're playing him in their junior league, which he's doing fine, but he's doing nothing like Bedard, and he was previous. And you almost wonder if it's almost they're making it hard on him to actually get, drafted well enough that they're going to lose him. It's like, is that their way of protecting him right now? I don't know, man. It's a mess. I got
another rant, because that war needs to end. This is ridiculous. Whatever Russia's doing, they're not doing themselves any favors. I know there's different ideas on the war, but really, I support Ukraine 100%, and I think Russians just need to stop, or Vladimir Putin needs to stop being silly. I try not to get political, but a lot of people are being affected by this, not just in terms of their lives and everything being, thrown upside down. But these players who want to just make an impact and have a career in the NHL or, at the best level of pro hockey they could lead to.
Yeah.
So I think this needs to end sooner than later because it's really affecting a lot of things around the world. And it's not benefiting anybody, right? It's not. So.
No, it was just ridiculous. Okay, hey guys, before we get back, just a quick push again. If you have not subscribed, occasionally Facebook does go down. They did this to us last week. Tonight we're running well, and unfortunately,
I wonder why.
Did
Elon Musk take over? Is that what's happening? Did we get her?
Yeah, maybe, man. Well, no, he didn't take over Facebook. He took over Twitter. Why were you used to bring
a joke?
Okay.
He also bought Facebook. Jeez.
Maybe he should have, man. Maybe he should have, eh? Even though I know people hate Elon.
Tonight it's one guy and a snail in hockey talk.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to mention is because a lot of times we've had some incredible guests on. I'm not going to go through their names, but next week I just want to put a plug in. We're coming. We're going to push Pawel the cat aside. I have been able to secure. No, I'm just joking. Actually, our buddy Kevin Francis works for Hockey Buzz. He's over there writing for Sens Nation. Great. He has incredible content. If you want to know what's ownership, all that stuff, we'll get him on again before the end of the year. But he linked us up, and hats off. Thank you, Kevin. We appreciate it. So we have a guest coming on next week. His name is Liam McGuire. He bills himself, but I'm telling you, it's true. He's the world's #1 NHL historian and trivia expert. So if you've ever followed hockey, Yvonne Cornier says there's nobody on the planet who knows more history, anecdotes, statistics, and trivia on the NHL than Liam. And now he was a former captain of Montreal, man. Now he's a 4-time published author. His last book came out just a couple years ago called The Real Ogie. It's the life and legend of Goldie Goldthrup. We'll mention it on our show next week. He has 3 books that were published in 94, 01, and 2014. His forwards, he's got written by Dick Irvin, Bobby Orr, Wayne Gretzky, and the list goes on. And this guy just knows how to add. So I think we got some great stories. He's worked radio industry for more than 30 years, hosting or co-hosting different shows. And he's had hundreds of guests of NHL and so forth. And he has worked countless events coast to coast in Canada specifically for him and parts of the United States, though, with 65 Hall of Fame players, including the Gretzky's, Orrs, Howes, Rocket Richards, John Beliveau, Mike Bossies, Guy Lafleur, Dennis Potvin, and the works guys. So I am throwing a big out there. Can you help us next week? We need you to bring the people on. Let them hear Liam. This is going to be an incredible show. We are honored. We are not being charged. He's doing this voluntarily, and you don't want to know how much he charges for an event. He says, for you guys, get it? You guys. Everybody's a guy. You guys, I'm doing this one for free. So thanks to Liam. But join us next week. Don't miss it.
Thank you, Liam. I will accept you replacing me. I think that's, those are, you can feel my shoes coming on the show and helping.
We're going to ask the questions and inspire the stories, and we're going to sit back and enjoy.
Oh, I thought you were replacing me. So I'm like, if you're going to pick somebody who is 1 in 8 billion people who knows everything about hockey, I accept.
All right.
To the sunset.
Okay, man. Well, we are at the end of our time here. Is there one last thing that you wanted to cover? I mean, I had 7 other things, but I'm leaving them for this week.
No, I'll let you. I know I kind of hijacked the conversation. I'll you throw out the last 2 questions back, but I did shout out to my country, Poland, for playing so terribly that they were able to make it to the final 16 in the World Cup. So good for you. I'm sorry, Mexico fans, because you guys really played unreal against Saudi Arabia. I've been loving the World Cup. I've been watching with some friends. It's been unreal. But I'm cheering on for my fellow countrymen, my Polska brothers, and I love it. Jake, I see you. But anyways, take it away with our last 2 topics before we end. And don't go into overtime.
Yeah, no, this is really quick. Let's talk about this more later. I want to talk about the new contract with Hintz. This contract coming in 8 years, $8.45 million. This guy's had What's that?
Good contract.
Oh, good contract.
Yeah.
Rope Hintz, he barely made a point a game, cannot play. He's got one season, man. One season where he's played more. Okay, let's have a bigger conversation about this because I cannot believe that you think this contract is good. Yeah, $8.45 million.
Look at where the Dallas Stars are and what they're doing. They got rid of John Klingberg and we're going to pay him what he wanted.
That's Jason Robertson, man. Jason Robertson is carrying that team.
Underpaid.
Jason, yeah. Not Rope. Not Rope Hintz.
That draft, they pick up Jason Robertson. Yeah. They pick up Jake Ottinger, so a number one goalie, and one other player. Was it Rupe Hintz? No, somebody else. Was it Rupe Hintz that season? Yeah.
I don't know, so I'm not going to say.
I'm telling you right now.
Okay, so the other piece that I just want to mention, we're going to talk more about this and look into this more. I have a few people that I'm reaching out to see if there's more bite to this. Who knows? Maybe it's already happened by then. I don't think it will. But there is a little bit more of that talk right now going on around the goalies, defensemen, and Jacob Chychrun and the Buffalo Sabres. So we need to kind of see. Buffalo has what would need to happen if they wanted to pick up Chychrun, because they have the money, so that's not the issue. But to have a good guy under contract with the defense that they're building, man, if I'm Buffalo, I'm going to see what I can do, because this could be a really, really nice fit if they can make that happen.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, they've been solid, and I think they won tonight, but they've really fallen off a bit. There's definitely a lot of disparity within the NHL, so it's definitely interesting to see what teams are on top and what teams aren't. So, I mean, we're 20 games in, we're past the American Thanksgiving, so if you're not by a playoff spot, are you making it? It's a tough hill to climb out of. But yeah, any other thoughts?
No, Steve just mentioned earlier, it's too early to think about playoffs when we were talking. Steve, just like yourself, we just brought it up because someone else brought it up about playoffs, and that's why. But truth is, the playoff discussion starts at this Thanksgiving mark. It continues in January, and it gets strong at the trade deadline.
So that third pick that year in the 2019 draft, so apart from Jake Ottinger and Jason Robertson, Miro Heiskanen. What a good draft for the Dallas Stars.
Hey,
way to go, Jim Neal.
Let's see if there's been a stronger pick from any team, hindsight now, who has picked better than that. That is phenomenal. I think we'd have to go back to the 80s to see something like that. Yeah. That's powerful.
Number one defenseman, number one star winger, and number one goalie.
Well, buddy, it's been another swell show. Good to have you. It was great to have. It was great to have your son on board again. Let's keep him going. Let's keep him training. Get him used to the camera, man. Get him used to the camera.
I think he's going to go opposite and follow a completely different sport and have a podcast about bowling or something.
All right, guys.
Remember to follow us, give us a like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in from wherever you are, or if you're tuning in later in the week, we appreciate it. We love you all. You guys are the best fans in the world. You make our fun hobby job very good, and it makes it much more better to talk to you guys. We want to hear from you. Just keep writing to us, keep reaching out. We love it. We have Sean Fiery coming to Edmonton soon. That should be a good header in January, even though it's pretty cold. Evan, any last final thoughts?
No, just looking forward to next week and having some great old school talk around some legends of hockey with Liam McGuire, man.
It's guys, gonna be
super. All right, well, there's another show at Two Guys in Hockey Talk. In the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe, everyone.
Cheers.